Mandalorians are stronger together. I've decided to go on a journey. Aldous Sandflys is leaving port. 100 million GP, 200 million GP, 300 million GP, and so on. Hey guys, welcome back to another Aldous Journey video. After showing you gameplay yesterday, I think on TV, today I'm going to talk about a bit of a broader subject. I'm going to talk about alliances. What are they? What have I seen that I like? What is my thoughts going forward? What does, you know what I mean. We're going to unpack all things alliances and how are they important, where do they really help the game, and what I would look for in an alliance, if that makes sense. Let's start with the basics. So, this is a game of guilds, and CG forces you to join a guild. You know, we saw if you never have a guild in the game, you don't have access to shops, you miss out on tons of rewards because a lot of it is guild PvP, PvE content. So, you're basically missing out on two guilds. You're kind of forced to join a guild. Now, that then puts you as part of a team of 50 people. Now, the in-game chatting is terrible. You know, there are small tools in game to be able to kind of mark a territory or to block a territory or put a thing over a territory, but it's almost impossible to communicate inside the framework of the game. So that kind of forces people to then therefore have a Discord or a Discord server. I presume it's possible in other channels, but everyone uses Discord. So that's kind of the first thing you kind of realize is kind of this game forces you into a guild. It then forces you, because of the in-game tools, to then join a Discord and to have a Discord presence. So that's kind of where the game starts. As you progress though, guilds, people leave the game all along the time. Now, I don't want to be nihilistic, and I'm not going to be. The game does look to be in a healthy place and does seem to be growing, but you do have an inevitable reason for people leaving guilds. Potentially people outgrow the guild they're in, or their participation isn't as high as they wanted to be in the past, or they went on holiday for a few weeks. All of these are reasons. So you've got guilds that kind of expand, contract, shorten. The guild I'm in at the moment, the Funky Town, Galactic Funky Town, is part of a larger alliance. And what alliances do very well is alliances actually kind of allow guilds to shrink, and then no longer be viable without the people in that guild losing touch with their friends, or the Discord they're used to, or anything like that. So where alliances fit into this sort of program, or this sort of the game we play, is they kind of maintain a community above the 50 people. And therefore, if you join alliance, if your guild is part of an alliance, you can end up with, 600 people in your wider guild or your wider alliance. Now, we talked also in a previous video about Joker, my current leader, who has got quite a lot going on in his personal life, and he's working hard and all that, and yet he has to do a load of stuff in game. Now, if you have a much larger alliance of 600 people, say, you suddenly then have a world where you've got 600 people who can help or answer questions. You have a much larger mass in the game. And I think this is something that really has been necessary with the game, is that a guild of 50 people, if it loses 3 or 4, it suddenly then struggles. Whereas if you have that 600, 800 people in a massive alliance, it can then be very, very easy to kind of move people between guilds. If a guild is no longer viable, or if people at a certain GP level start to wane, then you can find those people other homes inside your alliance. You can wind up the guild that you had, and all the guilds remain strong, everybody keeps progressing, and the people that are no longer playing the game or taking a break or moving to a different kind of vibe, they can also be successful in their swuggle journey. So alliances are very, very valuable. And I think it's something I've never seen CG really come out and talk about or address, which is why we're going to talk about it here. Because I do think the in-game guild tools are terrible. They have got a little bit better over time where they've added in guild tracking and performance, but the guild tools are terrible. And I think it kind of, like I said at the start, it focuses you into guild, forces you into Discord, forces you into this thing. And in many ways, guilds are almost forced into an alliance. The previous guild I was in, Banthas of the Empire, we talked about how they went through a very weird merger, or a merger, and I said that we should never have the word merger ever used. There's no such thing as a merger. You always have one leader. So I think that what alliances do is they allow mergers without them actually being mergers. They allow people to move between guilds. They allow guilds to kind of expand or become new guilds or contract. And I don't know too much about kind of how many guilds there were 6 months ago, 2 years ago, 20 years ago. Maybe I'll try and find some statistics on that. And if I do, I'll pot them up. But I wouldn't bet on it. The number of guilds that kind of contract and expand is very, very interesting. Anyway, so that's where I am. But alliances, what's important in alliance? Let's talk about that. Well, rules. Now, it sounds really weird, but one of the most important things in alliance, I guess, is to have a rule system. Now, because you're actually giving visibility to every other guild in the alliance of, I guess, players inside your alliance. So if one person in your alliance is spending a lot of money or is performing very well in a speeder bike raid, you might have other guilds going, maybe we could, or maybe not doing it directly, but certainly kind of promoting how that person could be getting more and more rewards in a different guild. So, structure of rules, as awful a thing, Aldy is not a rule person at all, but it is kind of important when you got all those guilds. The other thing, I guess, is whether it's a formal alliance, an informal alliance, a collection. I mean, Death Star port designers, Viva La Porte, have a loose alliance, I would say, of about 5 to 8 guilds. I don't even know the names of the other guilds, but there's sort of a loose alliance there. The one I'm in now is part of it. I think we're in what are we in? Sigma Nation Alliance, I think, which is about 20 guilds. But again, a very loose association, and it has a separate sort of Discord for the entire alliance. And the Banthas of the Empire were also part of an alliance. So I'm wondering whether there actually are guilds anymore that are not part of alliance. Or I think alliances are probably more prevalent now than they ever have been before. And I think that probably is due to trying to recruit people in, trying to make sure you get this turnover of people and you get good people in the start. What do I look for in alliance? Well, it's the same as any good Discord. You've got to have a good Discord. That's where a lot of things start and finish. Now, good Discords will always have had things like cam training or cam mentoring for that battle. All these battles that were very critical will have that. They'll have channels to link to different videos or content creations or how to do certain events. These are all valuable things, but they should also kind of promote community. And I think that's something that Aldy always looks for. You've got to have a sort of maybe a share your success or a flex channel. You've got to have a Q&A channel. You've got to have something where people are encouraged to almost share their real lives or become part of, use this, your friends, you're in this together. Some people don't want to share, other people do. But I do think it's important to kind of try and build the person around the account. I think that means that social contract between them and the guild is always stronger. And also, if they're going through a difficult time, then there's obviously a more sensitive two-way street, shall we see. Yeah. And Discord has tons and tons of tools. We talked a little bit about tools you need. Things like hot utils, things like access to some of the bots. All of these sorts of things can be set up inside a Discord. So the people that are very good at computers, if your alliance is 800 people, you generally find one person who's able to sort and get everything perfect. That makes sense? What do I not like about alliances? I don't know. Alliances to me seem to be necessary. Um, it is strange to have other people over there that are part of an alliance, and I wonder, because the guild I'm in at the moment is probably one of the lower guilds inside the alliance, I'm wondering whether the people at the top are very excited about this very large alliance and talking about how they're part of this alliance. But the guilds at the bottom, a lot of the content maybe isn't relevant to them. So it is a weird one, maybe being a lower end guild in a big alliance, because I think a lot of the focus is really focused on the top 2 or 3 accounts, who they're fighting, who their TW is, how to help them. You know, a lot maybe up there. Hard to say. I think alliances are odd in that they are necessary in the game, which is a kind of, I don't mean it's a shame, but it's odd that they are so necessary. But yeah, no, actually, I can't think of too many things. I was sort of got a list of good things about alliances. I don't think there's that many things that are that bad about being an alliance. I think, like I said, Mandalorians are stronger together. It is easier for everyone, the amount of effort it goes on an individual officer or an individual leader. If they're having to do all this stuff themselves, they're actually having to manage a Discord as well. We have, we've got Twitch, Welcome to Sandflys, we've got YouTube, Welcome to Sandflys. I have an entire Discord. Links are down below. Please like and subscribe, shameless plug. But even managing that sort of content is quite a lot of work. And I can imagine being a guild leader and a guild officer is very, very similar, with all the kind of focus on the game and learning and keeping people encouraged and all the management skills I guess you need to be good at that role. And I guess the alliance kind of helps take some of that off the person and do it more in a centralized way. And if ever the guild disbands, then the Discord doesn't disband because the alliance is still there. So all of that hard work is not risked. Whereas if I was to shut my channel down and shut my Discord, then everything would disappear. It wouldn't be retained. So I think that's kind of what I like about alliances. And anyway, I'm proud to be in an alliance. I think alliances seem now to be a good place, and certainly something that the guild needs, or that the game needs, for that middle ground. Anyway, might talk more about that tomorrow. Everyone, have a great day. Look after yourselves. Join your alliance. Let me know your alliance down below. And welcome to Sandflys. May the force be with you. Good night.